Okay. On that note, let me take that question to Nagaraju Yadav of the Congress Party joining us. Mr. Yadav, the questions over BJP are there. There are, of course, such killings that have taken in Congress rule states. In fact, the Udaipur case is the classic example, because in that case, there was a video by the killer, so nobody could deny the reality. Like I said, maybe if that video was not there, we would have never really heard the truth of such cases, because police are very motivated to not let the truth come out of such cases, and governments are also very motivated, whatever government it is. But Mr. Nagaraju Yadav, taking on the back of what PKD Nambiar is saying, has the opposition, including the Congress Party, played the right, the more constructive, the more sensible role on this entire episode of Nupur Sharma? Or is the opposition also guilty of fanning emotions, especially on communal lines?
No, I will not agree with this. Congress party in the national level or in the state level always been in a very responsible way, and we have been taking up, especially in Karnataka, we have been being the opposition, principal opposition party, and we have been very responsible in our job. Now the issue comes to straight away to the subject of Karnataka politics, where this is going on, the barbaric killing of the Hindu leader or a BJP leader is condemnable, condemned by the Congress party. 100% will not tolerate such thing, whether it's a Hindu murder or a Muslim murder. The issue has come here, the BJP so-called Hindutva party, which advocates for a Hindutva and uses the Hindu workers for bringing the party to power, and they are not protecting the Hindus whom they supported, which they claim to be the Hindutva party. But what I am trying to say is, whether a Hindu or a Christian or a Muslim, any murder should be looked at as murder itself. And we have seen in Harsha's murder case, they went and promised 25 lakhs to be given, and whenever the Muslims were killed, they didn't even turn up to go and see them. This kind of an attitude, polarization, for sake of polarization of politics, just taking up for Hindus and also not keeping up the promises made to the Hindus, this is not right way of administrating in Karnataka state.
Okay,
Karnataka
but sir, can I come back to my fundamental question? Your questions about the BJP, well taken. It's obviously the BJP's choice. They're refusing to join such discussions, and that has been the case for some time. But I take your questions to the BJP. My question to you was, you look at the case of the hijab debate, for example. The matter was sub judice. There were people in Karnataka constantly provoking each other and communities. The Congress was also nicely playing on that wave, right? You were also not saying that students should not be on a war path. You were also not driving sense into them. You were also not saying rules exist for a reason. You were also not saying uniforms exist for a reason. The Congress leaders were saying, whether I wear jeans or whether I wear hijab, what is the problem in a school? When everybody knows schools have uniforms.
This hijab matter or halal matter or azan matter, Congress took a stand very clearly. We live in a world with a brotherhood. We will not tolerate these things, anybody taking up either from Muslim side or from the Hindu side. But if BJP wanted to polarize, and BJP, this issue could have been handled in a small level in Udupi, they got it, allowed it to go to the extent of the entire state and see that it is a political polarization happens. Congress has behaved very clearly and made it very categorically, said that we'll go by the law of this land. We stand whether it's a matter of murder of Hindu or a murder of a Muslim. It has to be treated as a human life has been murdered, and it should be condemned, and the government should take the responsibility, because more responsibility of the ruling government is that because they used Hindu boys to come back to power. And that's what they did when Siddaramaiah was in the government. They kept on telling 30 murders of Hindus have taken place. They went Shobha Karanlaje, Nalin Kumar Katil and Ishwarappa and those guys, and C.T. Ravi came to the streets and made
That's
a huge
for the party to handle. Therefore, there was in fact today. All right,
but
sir, give me a brief minute. I have more questions for you. But Varun, you know, today when one of the BJP state leaders had actually gone to the hometown of the deceased, even he faced the ire of BJP workers. I'm not sure it was just the general public, of BJP workers included. Do you think the BJP is seeing the writing on the wall that this so-called, you know, this very there's a pussyfooting around the issues and hoping that you can placate radicals and fanatics, which in itself seems to be a losing cause, in the hope of appearing quote-unquote secular, which they themselves call pseudo-secular? Do you think that they're failing to realize this politics is not working for them?
Absolutely. You know, the most horrifying part is that when an MP visits his own constituency and faces the ire of, rightly pointed out, not just of the common constituents, but even those party workers who work to make him win. And as I rightly pointed out before, that an MLA has threatened to resign, a BJP MLA has threatened to resign, because, to be honest, the BJP leaders, the BJP workers over there are feeling sort of disgruntled by the state government, the way they have been abandoned. You know, again and again, the talks of Trinamool Congress after winning and the post-poll violence that happened in Kolkata is still fresh, and then such a thing is happening over here in a BJP-ruled state. I do not believe that the BJP right now must be sitting with confidence over there in Karnataka, thinking that they may be able to placate these people who are angry. And they have all the valid points to be angry. These are the people who voted. Rightly pointed out by the Congress spokesperson that Hindutva ke issue pe they came. But have they managed to placate their own people on this issue? I don't feel so. Right now, in Karnataka at least, the BJP government feels or should be more careful and take more of steps that would make their voters feel safer.
Yeah.
And, you know, I have a question to Mr. Yadav.
Okay.
He says he believes in the law of the land. On the hijab issue, the court has said something now. Does he agree to it? Do you agree, Mr. Yadav? Or is the
Of course, we will. No, 100%. No, very, very clearly I say this. The Congress party is very, very clear on the issues. We will go by the land of the law of this land, and will abide by the law of this land, and everybody should follow the constitution norms. Let it be hijab, let it be azan, let it be anything. See, Congress need not do a politics or hijab or azan or any other sentimental issues. We allow people to practice their religion as it is prescribed in their religion. But we shall not interfere and do a politics over the religion. The BJP is the one who wants to do a politics over a religion to polarize the votes, which is not correct, not in the interest of a democracy or in the constitution. That is the reason we are trying to tell very clearly.
Everybody wants people to follow their religion and their faith in this country. The hijab issue was not about that. But there is a line where your personal religion has to end, or that the reflection of that religion has to end, and classrooms are those places. That's all that the hijab issue was. Frankly, why it continued to be allowed to simmer for so long is also a question, and I'm not sure the opposition can wash its hands off it, nationally or in the state. But